What if I told you the Dark Ages were never really dark? You've heard the story. Rome fell, and Europe descended into ignorance for 1,000 years. A time when people forgot how to think, science disappeared, and superstition ruled the land. But what if that's not the truth? What if it's the biggest historical cover-up of all time? Let's go back to 476 AD. Rome collapses. Its libraries, laws, and engineering brilliance fade into memory. Or so we're told. But something curious happens. Not everything disappears. One institution remains untouched, unbroken, and suddenly more powerful than ever: the church. As kings fell and empires shattered, the church grew. But it didn't conquer with swords. It conquered with ink. Every surviving manuscript, every school, every center of learning came under its control. Monks became the gatekeepers of history. They decided which texts deserved to be copied and which were better left to decay. You see, in those candlelit monasteries, knowledge didn't burn in flames, it simply wasn't rewritten. And what isn't copied disappears. And just like that, centuries of human thought vanished. But not entirely, because the church didn't destroy knowledge. It preserved it for itself. Mathematical texts were translated into ecclesiastical Latin, a language only trained clergy could read. Philosophical works were reinterpreted to fit theology. Scientific discoveries were sealed in vaults. While the common people were taught that truth only came from God, the church quietly kept the blueprints of the ancient world to itself. But here's where it gets even stranger. During this so-called age of ignorance, other civilizations were thriving. In the East, China's Tang dynasty was inventing printing and perfecting poetry. In the Islamic world, scholars built the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, translating and expanding upon Greek, Roman, and Persian knowledge. Meanwhile, we're told Europe had forgotten how to count past 10? Really? Archaeologists today keep finding medieval artifacts that don't belong: bronze gears, astronomical instruments, underground aqueducts. These are not the works of a civilization lost in the dark. These are signs of hidden light. But the mainstream calls them anomalies, buries them in footnotes, because acknowledging them means rewriting everything. And then there's the phantom time hypothesis. A German historian named Heribert Illig proposed that between 614 and 911 AD, almost 300 years were added to our calendar. Fabricated. Think that sounds insane? Here's why it's not. The historical records from this period are thin, suspiciously so. The few documents we have, mostly created by church scribes, often centuries after the events supposedly happened. Key historical figures from this phantom era look eerily similar to older rulers. Charlemagne and Constantine share almost identical biographies. Same battles, same reforms, same divine connections. Coincidence or historical recycling? And who benefits most from adding 300 years of fictional history? The church. By extending the timeline, the Vatican could claim it had preserved civilization longer than it actually had. It gave them unbroken apostolic succession, saints conveniently placed in missing centuries, and time to transform from a religion into an empire. And today, the Vatican still holds miles of archives, most of which remain sealed. Documents that could shatter our understanding of the past, locked away from public view. You see, the Dark Ages weren't about ignorance. They were about control. Control over books, control over history, control over what humanity is allowed to remember. And that control works so well that even today, we still call it the Dark Ages. But maybe it's time we asked the forbidden question. What else have we been taught to forget?